please welcome my friend, Eric Su.
I guess I'm the second to last before lunch, so I stand between you and lunch. So lunch is coming up. All right, so where's Tim? Tim's over there. So funny enough, Tim and I we argued about Bitcoin 2 years ago. We were both speaking at a conference in Dublin, me and another SaaS founder. And at dinner 2 nights ago, we were arguing about AI. So I'm going to be talking mostly about AI for this one, and I know it's a hot topic for everybody. And I'm going to be talking about a couple things that we've been doing with AI, and ultimately, just show of hands, I know people don't want to raise their hands here, but who wants to cut costs with AI, right? Who wants to cut costs? Everybody. You're all lying if you have your hand down, right? You're all lying. So I'm going to go over, there's three options I think we can look at when it comes to implementing AI. And I'm just going to jump into it real quick. So we're talking about saving, and I think we talked about the podcast a little bit, but just a quick note on the podcast. We're at, I think, 130 million downloads now, so that's continuing to grow. But Steve's talk tomorrow is going to talk about how they get hundreds of millions of downloads a year, right? Right, Steve? Something like that? Yeah, that's a thumbs up. Okay, so I'm going to skip this slide as well. I think what's important for us to all understand now is that the game is changing when it comes to building businesses. And what I mean by that is, how many of you have heard of Midjourney? Midjourney, yeah? Okay. They're doing 500 million in annual recurring revenue now. They got to from zero to 200 million. It took them 21 months, and they did it with 10 people. And Cursor, which is a product that we use, our engineers use, they got to 0 to 100 million, and I think that took them, 21 months with 20 people or so. It seems to be 21 months, 2 years, that they're getting to 9 figures in revenue. And so if we wanted to build a business, let's say, I don't know, in the 1990s or so, it would have cost us millions of dollars in infrastructure, and it would have taken us a long time to get things done. That's not the case anymore. There's a lot of leverage that's coming into our hands now, especially for people like me. I'm not an engineer. I can't design either, but a lot of that power, that leverage is coming in, that's becoming available to every single person here. 11 Labs is another one, 0 to 100 million ARR in another 2 years with 50 people or so. So we're moving into a world of small teams, big businesses, and that's something that I talk to my team about all the time. I think we're going to see a company with 10 people doing $1 billion in revenue. I think we're going to see a company with 1 person doing $1 billion in revenue within the next 5 to 10 years or so. And that's because of all these products that are becoming available to us. And so this graph over here shows that the cost of intelligence is continuing to drop. And what I mean by that is, if you're to pay for O1 tokens, and O1's not even the latest model with OpenAI right now, it's O3. O1, this is from a couple months ago, you're paying $15 for 1 million tokens. But if you want to pay for the China model, the Chinese model, the open source model, DeepSeek R1, and that's not even the latest, that's just from a couple months ago, you're paying 55 cents. And so that's a 95+% decrease. And not only that, DeepSeek has also said that those costs are going to come down another 5 times by the end of this year. And so to me, it's crazy. I mean, for me, I spend a lot of my Saturdays on this stuff because not married, no kids, right? So I'm a loser. I just work on AI stuff all the time. So if you're fortunate enough to have that free time, I think that's what you should be doing right now. If there's any takeaway from my talk, we can just end the talk right now. Because to me, this is probably the most exciting time to be a business operator. It feels like I'm playing a video game. And that's all I wanted to do, right? Like, I've played a lot of video games growing up, and I'm like, oh crap, business is the best game in the world. But business is even more fun now, if you can leverage this stuff. And I think people are just afraid when it's something that's newer, but it honestly isn't that bad once you just start to play around with it. And so even this graphic over here, this was made with ChatGPT images, right? And I think a lot of you have probably played with that in the last couple of weeks or so. But when I was doing these slides, by the way, one of my designers was like, oh yeah, it's going to take me a week to do that. Oh, fuck that. I'm not going to wait a week, right? I'm just right here. We're good, right? Pardon my language. But we all want to decrease costs. There's some other images. I'm going to show you another one in a second. It took me 2 minutes to get what I wanted done. And he had a stock photo in here that I didn't like, and we made some changes to it. So the first pillar of what I want to talk about when it comes to AI is the do-it-yourself portion. So I look at it as there's DIY, so do-it-yourself. There's DWI, done with you. And then there's DFY, which is done for you, right? Everyone likes to talk about agents. I don't think we're completely there yet. I want a fully autonomous agent that can just read my mind and do everything I want. And then, that's like your top executives, right? They just hopefully been there, done that. They can you trust them, and then it's like, sir or ma'am, I found this problem over here and I solved it. Okay, great. They just keep going, right? I think we're going to get there. We're not quite there yet. But just quick show of hands, by the way, and this will probably be one of the last times I do this. How many of you have heard of, let's say, Manus? Anybody? So Manus AI. Okay, good. That's a handful of you. GenSpark. Anybody? Okay. RuCode. Anybody? Okay, got you guys. All right, cool. So there's one at least. So do it yourself. This is the very first portion over here where you're going back and forth with these LLMs more, right? So a simple example of that would be if you're creating these AI avatars, for example. So this is an AI avatar that generates leads for $1.69 on Meta. And it's completely AI generated. This is using a HeyGen avatar. So that's HeyGen. And it's using you can port over your voice using a product like 11 Labs. And I'm going to drop a lot of tools here. Don't worry, this is recorded. I think at least you have my permission. I think we need permission for each person. But for sure, I think my recording will be available. But HeyGen 11 Labs. You can make ads like this. And I think we're going to get, these ads are going to get better and better over time. But this to me is a new media game. So there's no excuse now in my mind to not be faster overall, but not be faster, also just to be faster when it comes to making new creative. There's no, I'm going to wait a week for that. It's going to take us like 2 months to storyboard that. No, we're just not going to do that, right? And if people are too slow, I don't know if you guys have read the Shopify CEO's memo from 2-3 weeks ago. His memo on AI excellence is exactly what I think everyone needs to just deploy throughout your whole entire organization. It's basically like, hey, we expect that you know reflexive AI, and if you're not there, like you're probably just not going to work here. And if you can if you can be more efficient without AI, well, good, more power to you. But that's unlikely, right? So I think it's on us as business operators here to establish what the standards of excellence are and to hold people to those standards. And if they don't want to live them, then there's other places to work. That's how I see this stuff. On the left side here, this is using ChatGPT images. So the left side, you can see, this is my team using, it's a very bland ad. There's no colors or anything like that. And if you just dump that image, you just drag it over into ChatGPT. You just say, hey, can you add some spice to it? Can you make it more tropical? It does that. It will transform the creatives for you. And this takes a minute or 2 minutes to do. And that's mostly ChatGPT taking time to create those images for you. But no longer do you have to wait, but also, when you make revisions like this, how much does it cost you? A couple $100? I don't know. Depending on who you're working with, maybe a couple $1,000. Like, I don't know, right? I just want to save money and move faster. That's all I care about at the end of the day. So that's that. And this image over here, by the way, that robot, it was just an arm before. So I dumped the original stock image into ChatGPT images. I was like, hey, just make it into a robot. And that's what we get, right? It doesn't even take like a genius. Like, the stupid prompt from my end, just make it a robot, right? So this is now we're over to done with you, and we have an upgraded stock image over here. So a lot of people like to talk about agents, but the precursor to all this agent stuff are these autonomous workflows, right? Agentic workflows. And so this is Manus over here. This little video. What Manus is doing is it's coming up with, those of you that are familiar with SEO, very high intent, long tail keywords. So an example of this might be if someone's searching for how to integrate NetSuite with Salesforce. Very long tail keyword, right? Whoever's searching for that, they're likely to convert, right? So you want people searching for high intent keywords, but also you don't want to spend hours and hours of time doing keyword research or going to your SEO agency and waiting a week or two for keyword research. No, we're just going to open up something like a Manus. This is using Manus right here. And then Manus will find the keywords, and then it will scan my blog to figure out what the writer guidelines are. And if it's figured out that we like our blog post to be 1,500 to 2,000 words or so, and we want examples, we want tables, we want links and things like that, it does that. And not only that, it will create these high-quality blog posts all in one shot. In one prompt, it came up with the keywords, and then it scanned my blog, and then it came up with the blog posts. And then we have a human in the loop that will evaluate it, and then boom, we're good to go, right? And so this might take now 30 minutes instead of taking weeks and thousands of dollars to do it. And so the cost of doing SEO is coming down, and that's a whole nother conversation. I think traditional SEO is just completely screwed, right? And we'll come back to that in a second. I think we've got to adapt over there. And so this is a little fun thing that I did. So this is using Gemini. So this is done with you. We're going back and forth now with the AI, right? So the last one, we're going back and forth. Managed. I might have to approve the blog post. I might have to approve the different keywords that it comes up with, or the different writer guidelines. But it mostly does the work on its own. In this case, I made a little Mario game over here. And in one of my introduction pictures, I was wearing this leather jacket. I dragged that picture into this, and I said, hey, make the character into this character. So that little character in the middle is wearing that leather jacket. That's me in the middle, right? So this is the little Mario game that I made. I'm like, okay, make this like a Mario game, side-scroller. I think everyone knows Mario. But it's a Mario game, but it's also a Minecraft game, too. So you can, like, put up blocks. You can mine blocks and things like that. And so this is cool. And I had to go back and forth with Gemini on this one to figure out what the bugs were, but it was doing most of the work, but it was still very much done with you back and forth. And so literally you can go make games with your kids right now. Like you are now all cooler parents, right? So not only that, I now, you know what I do now? I take all my boring SOPs, I take all the critical SOPs, and I dump them into a Gemini, and I just say, hey, make this into an interactive game. Because everyone likes to play games, right? How do you gamify your organization more? You can do that now. Whatever game you want to make, just drag your SOPs in, drag all your operating procedures in, and just figure out how to gamify it. And when you're onboarding people, how do you gamify that? And so that's the purpose of doing this. We're actually running an internal, almost like a competition right now, where we're paying people to show us their best AI ideas. What kind of results did they get? And then at the end of each month, the winner, we all vote on the winner. They get $500, and the grand champion at the end of the year, they get another $1,000 or so. But we're keeping it top of mind, and whoever's bringing it, we can see. Whoever's not bringing it, we have our eye on you too, right? And this is not to say, oh, I'm excited about firing a bunch of people. No, I'm just excited about raising the standards ultimately, and I think we should all be excited to do that. So that's on the Mario game. And I don't know about you guys, but again, I don't have developer skills. So most of you have probably heard of Cursor. Most of you have probably heard of Replit. And so for someone that's not technical like myself, if I'm using a Replit or a Cursor, these are IDEs, or you can just call them code editors. You can go into them and say, hey, let's say, for example, I have a custom homes company, right? So this, in the white box over there, this is actually an interior design tool. So this is like an interactive home tool that we can maybe give away to customers to get more email opt-ins, for example. And it will actually code it up for you. Or if there are screens that you like, there's websites that you like. For example, there's one called Mobbin, M-O-B-B-I-N. It will show you, for whatever reason, they have access to all these apps. They have access to all of these websites, and you can drag these screens in and say, hey, I want to make an app like this, and it will do it for you. It will code it for you, and you can even get to the point where you can deploy this. So it will figure out hosting for you. It will figure out all this other stuff that you don't want to figure out as a developer. Replit will do that for you. If you're more technical, you would use Cursor. And the one thing I'll say, and Sean's actually back there, my CTO, Sean, how much faster are we with Cursor now? 5 times faster? 10 times faster? How much faster are the developers? 10 times faster, right? Crazy. And so how many of your engineers are using Cursor? Okay, 3 of you liars. So if you're not using Cursor, you got to be using Cursor. Your engineers have to be using it. If they're not on top of it, it's like, why are they not on top of it, right? And again, I'm not even technical. If you're looking to prototype things, you might be using V0. So V0 for nice screens that you're looking to do. For software, it could be for landing pages that you're looking to do, and you can do it very quickly. And so now, instead of saying, oh, you need to do a PRD, or you need to write a memo, we're just like, no, just mock it up using this. Like, it should go default to making prototypes. That way, the lift becomes, it makes it way easier for your team to get things done ultimately when you have it thought through a little more. So that's what I'd say. Now, this over here is one of our agentic workflows that we built internally. And so when I talk to my SEO team, I know our team does a lot of rote, boring work. And so we're just like, dude, just tell us what's all the annoying stuff that you have to do. Oh, internal linking from an SEO standpoint. Oh, you have to do consolidating content, deleting content, updating content. Oh, we have to create high quality blog content. Okay, like all this stuff. And then we're just like, okay, how about we just build something internally that we can use? And so we have a product that basically will figure out, help you create internal links at scale and do all these things. And then this is just for us. We're just like, okay, how do we build these things to make our team faster? But also, I'll get to this in a second. Maybe I'll wait for a second. But my point is, building products like this is becoming a lot easier because things like Cursor allow us to be a lot faster. And so using ClickFlow, we're able to do this stuff for our clients. And because we're talking about SEO right now, earlier I just said that traditional SEO is screwed, right? And then Neil, my better half for the Marketing School podcast, he's going to be doing a talk later today. We now think of SEO as search everywhere optimization. It's no longer search engine optimization. So what I mean by that is, if you think 15 years ago, the only game in town when it came to organic reach was what? It was SEO, right? There was no Instagram, there was no YouTube, there was no LinkedIn. Like, all that stuff was very nascent, and some of it didn't even exist. And so if you think about it now, it is YouTube, second largest search engine in the world. Sean was talking about that a little earlier. So second largest search engine in the world. I think that's by far the biggest opportunity in the next 5 to 10 years from a social standpoint. And I'll give you an example here. For one of our products, Carrot, one of the guys came through, he was watching a YouTube video, and I said, how did you hear about us? He's like, well, Eric, I was taking a dump, and that's how we found out about you guys, and then I just signed up right there. Like, literally on the toilet watching a YouTube video, and he signs up, like, right? So I think Sean said something along the lines of, a YouTube subscriber is way more valuable than any subscriber. I actually believe that to be true, because they can build relationships with you at scale. And so my intention with this one is, whatever's private here, I'm going to take out, but I'm going to put this on my YouTube channel. Because one other example, a couple months ago, I spoke at a conference in Germany. Put that talk up, 110,000 views, right? And a lot of leads came from that. And so that's the new game now. We can't just be resting on our laurels. It can't just be organic search anymore. It's got to be everything, right? So that includes Amazon. That includes App Store optimization. That includes whatever LLMs that you're trying to optimize for. It's now everything. And this graph that you see here, that's HubSpot, Shopify, and I believe Zapier. That's all of their traffic going up and to the right. That's their community traffic. And so those of you that can build online communities, you can use School or you can use Circle. These are all products that you can use to build these communities and watch organic traffic go up and to the right, because that's what's happening for Reddit right now. That's what's happening for Quora. That traffic's becoming more valuable, or that content's becoming more valuable, because Google knows that everyone's just producing a bunch of robotic content, right? So if you can have more user-generated content, the better for you. The more user-generated content, the better. So real world wins here. So when it comes to SEO, traditional SEO, I look at it as I think it's dying. I think it's on its way to being dead, right? But it's not quite dead yet. I look at it as a cigar butt business. So Warren Buffett likes to talk about, you get a few more puffs out of it, right? I think that's the case with organic traffic right now. And so these are all our results using programmatic SEO. So we rank for about 3,000 agency keywords, so e-commerce agency, programmatic advertising agency, and then a lot of service agency keywords. This is what works for us. If you think about TripAdvisor, they rank for what? They rank for fun things to do in Rome, fun things to do in Japan, fun things like millions of permutations of these, right? They rank for, at their high point, maybe 125 million keywords or so. And I'm not saying you guys need to create millions of pages, but even 200 pages or so of high intent content, and these are templated pages, and then you can leverage OpenAI's API to do this, and now ChatGPT Images has an API as of yesterday. You can do this stuff too, and the more you can do this, the more you can leverage this right now and take advantage of the dying website traffic that's happening right now. That's just another advantage that you'll have for the next couple of years. So earlier I mentioned, okay, so with all these products that we're building internally, so with ClickFlow or with Carrot, these are personalized landing pages that we have with Carrot, and then this is like our personalized LinkedIn account-based marketing software. My point of showing this is the only two moats I see in the next couple of years are, one, distribution, and two, data. And so I talked to my team, I'm like, okay, we can build these features. How do we give this stuff away for free? How do we build funnels for each one of these features and just give them away for free? So earlier you heard Tim Solo talking about this from Ahrefs. Tim's like, yeah, we give this calculator away for free. And now Neil's back there. Neil gives away some stuff for free as well when it comes to his software. The more you can do that, the better, because I think the cost of creating these lead magnets or these really interesting ebooks, these tools, things like that, the bar is getting lower there, and more people are going to do that. So that means if you can zig where other people are zagging, where it's getting more difficult, and if you can build stuff like this where maybe it's not out there and just give it away for free, that's another advantage. And then this type of stuff will attract a lot of links from an SEO standpoint. You get a lot of attention. And this is the type of stuff, when I post it to LinkedIn, 100,000 impressions on this one, tons of enterprise leads come through this. And what is this? 1,300 comments, 700 likes. And again, 100,000, 125,000 impressions. This stuff works. And so tying everything together here, one, can you build stuff and then give it away for free? And then take that, whatever interesting features you have, and then go talk about it where there's good organic reach. Because when I threw this post up, it was just random. I think it was like a random November, and I decided to throw it up because I was just like, what would happen if I just said, hey, we built this thing over here, comment ABM if you're interested, and then boom, it just blew up. Anybody here can do this. It's not like I have a giant LinkedIn following, right? It's not that big compared to a lot of people. Compared to Adam Robinson, who's not here, who'll be speaking tomorrow, though. So you should check out that one. A couple more things before I leave you guys. So I talked about distribution, and it says avatar distribution, guys. So this is avatar distribution. So this guy I talked to, his name's Rowan Chung, and he built this Instagram from 0 to 100,000 followers in a week. In a week. And not only that, he collected 5,000 emails. He writes about AI stuff all the time. He's got about 1 million followers on his email list. And all he does here, these are all AI-generated videos. At the bottom of these videos, you can see that's his 11 Labs, that's his HeyGen avatar, and he ports over his voice using 11 Labs, and his team will edit the B-roll, and all he talks about is AI stuff. And you can see it, so bottom left video, 2.6 million views, and then 1.7 million views, and then 230K, and then, I don't know, something like 30K or something like that. But he built this audience really quickly, and he uses ManyChat to collect the leads. So whenever someone responds to one of the posts, his ManyChat bot will DM, and then what will happen is he'll collect a bunch of emails that way. So I think we're going to see a lot more of this. These videos, they're like, I don't know, call it like a 7.5 out of 10 or so. I think we'll get to 10 out of 10 in the next couple of years. So that's avatar distribution. And what you can do, I mean, you can daisy chain all your tools together right now. So you can leverage, ChatGPT operator, you can leverage Manus, you can literally take any of your SOPs or looms, and you can have Manus watch the looms, and then what it'll do is it'll actually execute on whatever process that you have. And so you can leverage Gemini here to write the script for you. So whatever new content's happening around your industry, could be for AI, could be for homes, could be for digital marketing, you could have Gemini create those scripts for you. And then also Gemini can scan YouTube videos too if you're out of ideas, right? And then HeyGen, I mentioned a little earlier, you can make your avatars. And then ChatGPT operator, again, or I actually prefer Manus, if I'm being honest, because Manus will watch the whole Loom video, and I look at Manus as like a A-player employee. It just does what you need it to do. ChatGPT operator, it's kind of like a C-player employee where it needs to ask you for instructions all the time. So Manus is the one I'd be using, and I think it's available to the public now. If not, you can DM me and I'll try to get you access to it, because I bug the founder about the invite codes all the time. So just let me know. But yeah, daisy chaining these together. And when you daisy chain these things together, you could also think about how do you storyboard from an automated standpoint? How can you create more interesting ads faster? Again, you don't have to wait weeks to get a storyboard done. This is all done through ChatGPT over here. So ChatGPT images, again, you'll get your work done a lot faster. And then now we're on to the last part. And I've tried to jam as much as I can into this talk, so hopefully you guys get something from it. But done for you. This image is also generated from ChatGPT too. So that's basically me working with the robot over there. And this is where we are right now. So I've talked quite a bit about Manus, and it's probably my favorite right now. But GenSpark, I haven't talked about GenSpark. Let me talk about GenSpark really quick. So GenSpark is another Chinese AI. And what I did the other night, so we had 11 people for a restaurant reservation. I was too lazy to call the restaurant, so I went to GenSpark. And then GenSpark makes phone calls for you. So I went to GenSpark and I said, hey, can you change our reservation from 11 to 7 people at this restaurant, Makoto, which is across the street, by the way. And we do have a reservation for Makoto, by the way. That's on the list. But that's a side note. So it showed me the interaction that it had with the staff, and it changed the reservation from 11 to 7 people. And it actually made one of my reservations from earlier this week when I got in on Monday. It will plan trips for you as well. It'll make phone calls for you. And I think that cost me like $17 a month or something like that. So genspark.ai, but they're not paying me to say this just because I'm Chinese. Don't worry, they're good products. So okay. On the right side, on the bottom right, I'm not even going to talk. Claude, Rue Code, you can use VS Code Editor. If you don't want to pay $200 a month for Manus, you can use VS Code Editor and then just combine it with Rue Code and your Claude API key. It's going to take a little bit of work, but you can, in essence, get it for free. You still have to pay for the API calls. But Lindy, Okay, so Greg Eisenberg is speaking tomorrow, and I think he's actually here. But I was watching a video he had on YouTube, and this product, Lindy.ai, wasn't there 6 months ago. And the founder kind of asked him to be back on the podcast, and Greg was unsure about that. I was talking to Greg about this the other night. And Lindy is pretty insane now. So Lindy.ai, again, bottom right, I spent this past Saturday, I think I spent like 5 hours on it on Saturday. And think about it this way. We're all looking for more great people, right? And so one of the criteria that we're looking for is we want people with a history of at least 1 promotion or at least 2 promotions. But to have to sift through that on LinkedIn is kind of a pain in the butt. So I went to Lindy. I was like, hey, we're looking for people with at least 1 to 2 promotions. We're looking for SEO managers with at least 1 to 2 promotions. And they have a track record of talking about AI. Literally, it popped out 3 for me, and these 3 people looked amazing. And it showed the rationale, too. It's like, these people have 2 promotions at least. And I'm like, oh, that looks good. Okay, now give me 20 of these. It did it for me. It will do the outreach for me. It'll find all their emails. It'll do all the outreach for me. And so now I'm like, okay, well, now our recruiters are going to be faster as well. That's a good thing. And we're going to find people according to the exact criteria I'm looking for. Because typically what happens when we work with recruiters is they just don't have all the time to do all this research. Well, now the robot can do it for you. So Lindy.ai, I think they have like a free plan, so you can check that out. And then all of your SOPs, all of your documentation, all of your Loom videos, Manus can watch it, GenSpark can watch it, ChatGPT Operator can watch it, but it kind of sucks right now, but it'll get better. But they're all useful now, right? And I think Aaron Levy from Box talks about all the stuff they're doing with AI all the time, and they have all this documentation, all this searching that you can do, and making all that historical data more valuable now, right? You can literally read a K1 in a couple of seconds or a minute or so, right? If you're an investor, so all your documentation is now valuable. It's the problem I've always had with SOPs and Looms. I'm like, man, they become outdated pretty quickly, but now the AI can use it and the AI can keep it updated. That's pretty cool. And by the way, this is a ChatGPT image here too. So I was talking to my team about a week ago or so, and I was like, guys, this is the future that we're going into. It's going to be, you're going to have a human operator at the top, and then you're going to have these AI managers, and then you're going to have all these agents at the bottom. You're going to have tens of thousands of agents that you're working with, right? Hundreds of thousands. And she said, well, I don't want to just operate a bunch of robots. And I said, no, that's not the right way to look at it. The right way, in my opinion, to look at all this stuff is make a list of all the stuff that you hate doing, and then you just hand it off. And then you're at the top, and you're just making sure that things are working correctly, and you just have a lot more leverage. And I can tell it's really easy for me to see, even in a Zoom meeting, who's bought into this stuff and who's not. It's really easy to see this stuff, right? If you're struggling with B2B marketing, you've got to check out Carrot. Carrot allows you to personalize your LinkedIn ads in minutes, not weeks. It also allows you to create personalized landing pages, and you also have influence pipeline reporting that will show you exactly if your B2B campaigns are performing. If you want to get on the Carrot waitlist, all you have to do is go to carrot.ai to learn more. Join us on the crusade to make B2B marketing easier. This is interesting. This is kind of, we're behind the scenes right now. This is where we bleep this part out. But a lot of CEOs I talk to right now, nicest people in the world. One I talked to recently, he's like, I just fired my agency. I was like, why'd you fire your agency? He's like, well, they haven't passed on the efficiencies to us. I mean, what do you mean by that? He's like, they haven't decreased the cost, or they haven't increased the output, or they're not using AI. Like, all 3 are bad. I'm like, oh yeah, makes sense why you'd fire them. And so my point of saying all this is that we're moving into a world where we just have to be a lot faster. And we can't just rest on our laurels, right? And so when I go to my team, when I expect them to understand this stuff, the reason I want them to understand this stuff is because these CEOs tell me that they're on a rampage right now. And when they're on a they're like, these people need to go. This entire team needs to go. Literally, we talked to someone yesterday. He's like, I want to fire my entire marketing team, right? And so I'm doing my best to protect my team, and I'm also doing my best because I just want to work with the best people because it makes work a lot more fun. And that's how I look at it. So this to me is really fun. This to me is not very dystopian. I'm just like, people, the people that align with this, great. We'll have a lot of fun working together. People that don't, then there's the door, right? There's a bunch of other companies that you can work at. So this is our practical implementation spectrum here. So if you look at the very left, that's DIY. So you might be going back and forth with ChatGPT images there. And then as we shift towards the DWI, so done with you, so do it yourself, in the middle is done with you, You have Replit, right? Replit, you have to go back and forth, and then maybe you can deploy. And then you have ClickFlow. That's our agentic workflows that we use. And I'm not saying you need to use any of these. These are just examples, purely. And then in the orange over here, you have Manus. And Manus, it's a little more autonomous, but there's still a little bit of back and forth. And when we go full spectrum to DFY, done for you, nothing. I don't think anything's quite there yet, right? I think we're getting a lot closer, but maybe in the next year or so, we'll see fully autonomous agents that function like A-player employees. That's how I look at it. This graph over here, by the way, the key takeaway from this graph is if you're looking at SEO costs, maybe you're decreasing costs by 80% or so, 90%. Images cost, maybe 80, 90% or so. Yeah, take a picture, everyone. So the funny thing, guys, is this image was completely generated by ChatGPT images and is not a real image. So, but the message here is that you should be able to figure out how you can decrease your costs 60, 70, 80% or so. And I know there's a lot of agencies here. I think it's our job as agencies to figure out how we can pass those costs over to our customers. And I think we'll build a lot of goodwill that way. And who knows what will happen, but I'll tell you this, like our customers aren't stupid. They are looking at why we aren't passing those costs over. So there's that. And I look at it this way. So at the very bottom over here, the black line that's just straight, that's no AI, okay? And you can argue that maybe you should just go downward too. And then the orange line over here, that's a single AI workflow. You can look at it as maybe even a single AI agent in the future. But if you stack these agentic workflows and you stack these agents in the future, you'll have a much steeper line. And that's where I think people are going. And I think there's got to be someone that's obsessed about AI at your company right now. The best founders that I talk to, when we talk to behind the scenes in my little friend group chats, all we talk about is AI. What are you doing over here? What are you doing over here? Dude, this is so, you got to check this out, right? That's where it's all going. And I think ultimately, in a time where the cost of intelligence is dropping, it's on us to make sure that we're keeping the speed up and increasing that speed drastically. The last thing I'll say over to you guys is I create a lot of content on this stuff. So that QR code over there, that's basically our newsletter. All I do is nerd out on this AI stuff and the latest stuff in marketing. But that being said, we have a lot more speakers like this. I think we're going to see a lot more tactics. And yeah, that's it. Thank you so much.